Hello, it's another Monday, and this is Office Politics Champion. And it's what? Up your game? In the, up your game. I'm bringing to you another nugget, as our custom is, a nugget for the week to help you in your career, to help you uh, not just cope, but thrive over the politics of work and the politics at work. All right. Now, and you must be aware that it's important if you want to succeed in this day and age, as has always been the case, by the way, at work and your career, you need to be politically savvy. You need political intelligence. There is no question about it. And I suspect that many are challenged in this particular area. And this is just one area, one aspect of their career that they need to address. And if only they will, they would see a turn in the how their career would simply take off. I want to draw your attention again to something that's very important, subtle but often overlooked, and it's overlooked to the disadvantage, of the player. It's still about office politics. It's about power. It's about influence. It's about getting to the top. Today, I want to speak on talent versus protocol, or talent or protocol, which matters most. Talent or protocol, which matters most. Talent or protocol, which matters most. All right. And you're wondering, what does protocol have to do with office politics? It's probably easier to appreciate the place of talent, but protocol, big deal. I mean, where does protocol come in? Well, protocol is very important. Protocol is very, very important. Now, talent is important. All right. If you have talent, it's a major source of leverage. It's a source of distinction. It's something that you can use as a platform for differentiating yourself and the value that you bring to the organization. And it's important, if you haven't done so, all right, to seek to leverage your talent is very important. All right. For some people, that will be skill. There is that thing that you can do better than the average, other person. It's a source of advantage for you. And if you are wise, you will develop it. You'll be deliberate about exploiting it if you are wise. And I hope that you are. But there's a risk that's associated with it, because many of us often over rely on our talent. We believe we're talented. We believe we're superstars. Those who are high flyers at work, everybody knows them. All right. We know they get results and all of that. We trust in their abilities. They always seem to find a way out. All right. But somehow you see that they don't make as much progress, or find that they don't make as much progress as they would have loved to make. So what's the problem? I'm going to show you what the problem is. The problem is that they place over reliance on their talent, forgetting that there is something that can mute the voice of talent. You see, talent has a voice in the workplace. The voice could be loud if you know how to use it. But that voice can be completely muted, all right, or sent into oblivion by the lack of respect or regard for protocol. Protocol is important. When you talk office politics, you talk power, you talk influence. And that means that you are talking at the level of a group of people that I would refer to as nobles, as leaders, as decision makers, as, the ones who call the shots in the organization. They are the ones that bring you up. They are the ones that recognize you. They are the ones that speak on your behalf. They are the ones with the authority to decide who gets what in the organization. All right. And at their level, when you come into their presence, or if you want to come into their presence and to attract their attention, to have their listening ears, you need to respect protocol. You need to respect protocol. Before your talent ever has the opportunity of expressing itself, it is protocol that not only gets you in through the door, but also, secures their listening ears to you. It is only when they are listening to you and doing so intently, doing so with interest, that your talent has the opportunity to speak. Maybe you are still wondering, what is this man talking about? Let me use an example. All right. And I will take an example, by the way, from the Bible. So a king had a challenge. He had a dream, and no one could interpret it. He didn't know the interpretation. The dream was pretty scary. He couldn't interpret it. And he needed someone to be able to interpret it. He was pretty troubled. He couldn't afford not to have the interpretation of that dream. Nobody wants to lose his seat. All right. Nobody wants to lose his power. Nobody wants to lose his relevance. The same way you don't want to lose your relevance at work. So the king was pretty desperate. Now, it turns out there was this guy who was far away in the prison, but some of the king's employees had had interactions with him. So they knew that he was talented. They knew that he was someone who could interpret any dream. They had experienced him firsthand. He had interpreted dreams for them, and they were confident in his abilities. His talent, as far as they were concerned, spoke very loudly. And who best to call on or to recommend to the king than this very talented guy? They called his name Joseph. And so they told the king, we think we have an idea of somebody who can interpret your dreams. All right. And this guy, of course, to interpret has to be brought into the presence of the king. And the king, of course, will not be alone. The king will be with those with whom he makes decisions. The wise men, they call them. And you have them at work. I hope you are mindful of that. You have them at work. Your CEO doesn't take decisions alone. He has people. They may be called executive directors, they may be called general managers, they may be given they may be called different names. All right. But that's the way that the organizations operate. So, long story short, the guy was brought into the presence of the king. But something very instructive took place before he could ever appear in the presence of the king. He was coming from prison. They had to tidy him up. Possibly he was not well dressed. Possibly, of course, he was overgrown, beard all over the place. He had to be well shaven. He had to be groomed. He had to be prepared in order to come into the presence of the king, his talent notwithstanding. They didn't rush him. The king was very desperate. The situation was dire. All right. The king needed somebody urgently who could look at this situation. And they identified somebody. And it was true that the person had the capability to resolve the puzzle. He had the talent. In that area, there was no one like this guy. But they could not rush him into the presence of the king. They couldn't. Imagine how urgent the matter was, yet they couldn't rush him into the presence of the king. Why? Because there is protocol. You don't just appear in the presence of the king. And some of you neglect that. He had to be properly dressed, properly attired. He must have been given some brief. When you come to the presence of the king, you need to bow down. There's a way you speak. There's a way not to speak. There's a way you don't look the king in the eye and all of that stuff. There is protocol. There's protocol. And not to, observe that protocol when you come in the presence of leaders, of management, of decision makers is an act of disrespect. Is an act of disrespect. No matter how talented you are, if you disregard protocol, you are going nowhere in the organization. Nowhere. Some of us don't know how to speak in the presence of the powers that be. Some of us don't know how to dress. The Gen Z need to listen to this. It's not everywhere you wear jeans to. Your appearance is part of it. Your talent will make no meaning if you do not respect protocol. You don't come into the presence of decision makers or power, brokers anyhow. You must learn what it takes. Otherwise, your talent's voice will be muted. Nobody will show regard for your talent. If Joseph was not properly dressed, coming before the king, it didn't matter whether the king could interpret, whether he could interpret or he could solve the king's problem. No, it did not matter, and it wouldn't have mattered. It had to be made to obey protocol, to be taught that there is protocol when you come into the presence of the king. So my word for you, my counsel for you, perhaps you have been disregarding protocol and you have been thinking that you are such an important person, your talent or your skills, is such that no one can do without you. At best, you could be tolerated or accommodated. But if you are tolerated, if you are accommodated, that doesn't get you anywhere, because it doesn't put you in good standing with the people who decide on who gets what. And that's really what you want. All right, that's what you want. So if you are one of those who has neglected, all right, who has relied thus far on just your talent, thinking that your talent is it and there's no one like you, I have news for you. Your talent's voice will be muted if you lack protocol. All right, and your lack of protocol is reflected in your conduct in the presence of the powers that be. In organizations, there are powers that be. And there is a way to conduct yourself, all right, when you come into their presence. There are other examples I could give, but I believe that this is sufficient. And this makes my point today. So that's it. Re-examine yourself. And this may be the key that unlocks, all right, your desire to move on the faster lane. Stop overplaying your talent card and start giving recognition to the place of protocol. It has many tentacles. If you want to learn more of those, check out some of our programs. So that's it for today. Talent versus protocol. Talent is important, but talent will never speak before the powers that be, if you don't observe protocol when you have the privilege of coming into their presence. Protocol will give your talent a voice where it matters most. You know what they say? They say the gift of a man will make a way for him. It will make room for him. Well, that's true. But He will bring him before kings. Whether his voice is heard by kings will not be determined by his gift. It will be determined by how well he recognizes and aligns with the protocol demands when he appears before the king. I hope someone will take notice of that, will engage that, and let it begin to make the difference, in your career, the difference in what you get at work. That may well be what has been holding you back. And that's my counsel for today. Office Politics Champions it is. And if you are not yet a subscriber to this channel, please go ahead and subscribe. If you know anyone who is challenged by office politics or who is uncomfortable, all right, because they are not making the kind of progress that they determine, they are not getting promoted, they are not getting benefits, they are not recognized, they are not rewarded at work, well, this is a channel to listen to. And on this channel, we have other programs. I'll be starting, a series where I give whoever is interested an opportunity to ask me any question relating to office politics. On Office Politics Live, and it's likely to hold on Wednesdays. Be on the lookout for it. There's already a link, that I've shared in the description. You can also check out our Office Politics catalog. Another link is there. It shows you different programs that we have for different people. I'm sure you'll find something for yourself at your stage, for your kind of faith and all of that. They are all there. And if it's a comprehensive thing that you have, is there. We have the mega master class. And I want to invite you, all right, if you're really serious about this subject, to join the Office Politics WhatsApp group. You'd also find the link scrolling beneath the screen. You find it in the description area as well. And we look forward to, welcoming you into that group. You can also scan the QR code on the screen and it will take you to the same place. Remember, today we've been speaking on talent or protocol, which matters most. I believe now you know which one matters most, all right? Your talent is important, but protocol must be observed. Otherwise, the voice of your talent will be muted and you will not be recognized, nor rewarded, nor celebrated as much as you want. So protocol is a platform, that your talent needs to recognize and rise on, ride on in order to maximize its potential. That's it from me today. My name remains Olatunji Shobodu. I'm your anchor and the anchor of the Office Politics WhatsApp group. It's going to be, we'll be together this time again next Monday. I bring this to you every Monday. Join me, but let the discussions continue in the group. All right. And this group, this week in particular, I'm going to be announcing a set of new initiatives, to enhance the active nature of the group and to bring more value to the table. So be on the lookout for it. Thank you for joining me this morning. It's been a pleasure, coming to you as well. And like I said, I look forward to continuous interactions with you going forward. God bless you and have a very, very productive and pleasant week. Olatunji Shobodu is my name, and it's Office Politics Champions. Office Politics Champions. See you again. Bye-bye, and God bless you.